All right, welcome. Today we're diving into some fascinating research that looks at a side effect of common blood pressure medications, one that honestly doesn't get talked about nearly enough. We're going to look at a head-to-head comparison between two drugs and uncover a really surprising impact on female sexual health. So let me just ask you this right off the bat. When you think about blood pressure meds, you're probably just thinking about the numbers, right? But have you ever really considered how they might be affecting your quality of life, beyond the cuff? It's a huge deal and something that can have a massive impact.
Look, this can be a sensitive topic, and because of that, it often gets swept under the rug. But the science is showing us it's a very real issue for a lot of people. So our goal here is just to look at the data clearly, break down what the researchers found, and get the facts out there. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack this hidden problem. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how you even measure something like this scientifically. From there, it's the main event. A duel between two drugs. After we reveal the pretty shocking results, we'll explore the science behind them. And finally, we'll talk about what this all could mean for you. First up, let's set the stage. Millions and millions of people are treated for hypertension, and a lot of them are on a class of drugs called beta blockers. And they're effective, for sure, but they can come with side effects that aren't exactly front and center in most doctors' appointments.
And this really gets to the core of the issue. We hear a lot about how these medications can affect male sexual health. But what this study points out is that female sexual dysfunction, or FSD, is actually more common, and yet it's been seriously underinvestigated. This research is trying to start filling in that big gap.
So this leads to a really crucial question. How in the world do you scientifically and objectively measure something as personal and complex as sexual function? I mean, you can't just ask, is it good or bad, right? For real science, researchers need a standardized tool.
And that tool is the Female Sexual Function Index, or the FSFI. It's a validated 19-question survey that actually lets researchers put a number on sexual function in a consistent, reliable way. It's basically the gold standard in this field, and it's what they used in this study.
And the FSFI is incredibly thorough. It doesn't just ask one thing. It breaks down the entire experience into 6 distinct areas, everything from desire and arousal to satisfaction and pain. This gives a really complete and detailed picture. So now, let's see how this tool was actually put to the test.
All right, here's where it gets really interesting. The study basically set up a direct comparison, a scientific duel between two very commonly prescribed beta blockers to see how they stacked up.
In one corner, you've got Nebivolol, which is a newer third-generation drug. In the other corner is Bisoprolol, a super widely used standard. The researchers took 2 groups of women with hypertension, gave one group Nebivolol and the other Bisoprolol, and then just tracked their FSFI scores for 90 days. The stage was set.
And now, for the main event, the results. What happened when these two drugs went head-to-head for 3 months? Well, the outcome was definitely not what you might expect. The results were just stark. The group taking bisoprolol saw pretty much no change at all in their sexual function scores, but the group taking nebivolol, they saw a significant improvement. Let's actually look at the numbers. This chart just shows it so clearly. The average score for the nebivolol group jumped from about 24 up to nearly 27. Now here's the really crucial part. A score of 26 is the cutoff for healthy sexual function. This means that, on average, the group moved from being in the dysfunction range into the healthy range. That is a remarkable shift.
And for anyone out there thinking, well, maybe this was just a fluke, just look at this number. This is the p-value. In science, a p-value this incredibly small, less than 0.0001, tells you that this result is extremely statistically significant. It means the odds of this happening by random chance are practically zero. This was a real effect.
So, of course, this begs the question, why? They're both beta blockers. They're both designed to lower blood pressure. Why on earth would one have such a dramatically different and positive effect? Well, the answer is in its unique mechanism.
So here's the secret sauce. Nebivolol does its main job as a beta blocker, just like bisoprolol does, but it has this second really powerful action. It stimulates the body's release of nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide is a vasodilator, which is just a fancy way of saying it relaxes and widens blood vessels. And that improved blood flow is absolutely critical for sexual arousal.
Okay, so we've seen the data, we've looked at the science, but what's the practical takeaway here? Why does this one study matter so much? Let's bring it all home.
You know, I think the study's own conclusion just says it best. The researchers do not mince words. They state that because of these extra properties, Nebivolol has superiority over Bisoprolol, and that it is wise to switch to Nebivolol for female patients dealing with FSD. That is a powerful statement.
And that really brings us to our final thought. This research powerfully shows that not all drugs in the same class are created equal, and that side effects don't just have to be a given. It really underscores how important it is to have open conversations with your doctor about all aspects of your well-being, not just the main condition you're being treated for. Asking the right questions can lead to better treatments and ultimately a better quality of life.